Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, mother... What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it! Hits it!
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
We got a lot for you throughout the course of the afternoon and your chance to win some stuff as well. I was just talking to Kyle Kinnett. Jake is still in here, too, and Jake is good friends, much like I am, with Kyle Kinnett, a Bullseye Event Center. Yep, what's that?
Kyle Kinnett wished me a happy birthday.
He did. Kyle Kinnett wished him a happy birthday.
That's the kind of dude he is.
So do we, with Jake Query right there. But we have Bullseye Event Center passes to give away throughout the course of the afternoon. J-Law, to go ahead and tie a bow on the crosstalk, brought to you by Love Heating and Air, love-hvac.com today. The term gaslighting originates from the 1938 play Gaslight by Patrick Hamilton, later adapted into the 1944 film Gaslight starring Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer. In the story, a husband manipulates his wife into doubting her own perceptions and sanity. Thank you, J-Law. Gaslighting. I don't think it's gaslighting in talking about the Colts and taking it for what it is worth. And what I think it's worth right now is I'm not going to listen, it would be for me to go, hey, you know what? They're going to win double-digit games and you're going to feel good. But there's really no reason to believe it until you see something. And I know we can all take a guess, and I know a lot of people are, and certainly I hope that this season is so much better than what we have witnessed. It is vital. I had a friend of mine tell me earlier today, hey, I can't even give away my tickets right now. Can't even give them away. I'm worried about the interest, and I don't want the interest to go away in early September. A lot of things hinge on that interest. And remember, we're coming off a Pacer season that was, since the ABA championships, let's just say it, the greatest of all time, pushing things to a seventh game of the NBA Finals. And even if everything absolutely crapped out, it is the memory. I've said this before, inevitably there is going to be a Pacer postseason highlight pop up when you're looking around Facebook, right, with all these videos and reels and stuff. I cannot skip past it. Every single time I watch the Halliburton shot to send the game into overtime against the Knicks, I watch the Halliburton layup against the Bucks. I watch Halliburton and the late game shot over Ty Jerome against the Cavaliers. The game one jumper against OKC. I cannot skip it. It was just such a great moment. And I know that Colts fans, you have that distant memory of what it used to be and what you used to expect. And that got brought back with the Pacers in the postseason. And I know you become a little bit selfish and you want that. You're like tweaking for it with the Colts. A lot of people are. I mean, 9th year for Chris Ballard, 3rd year for Shane Steichen. Hell, the 1st year for Lou Anarumo. Is the Daniel Jones decision going to work? Because a lot rides on whether or not this team is capable this season. Because it's easier said than done just to wipe the slate clean, as I've suggested they will if they don't make the postseason. And really the lone path, right, for this team or really any team from the AFC South to make it to the postseason is win the division. and for the Colts to do it for the first time since 2014. But I don't think we've all kind of sat down and thought about the ramifications of what if it doesn't happen? What if a lot of you get your wish and things are cleaned out? Well, I mean, a lot of players are going to have to go too. Why? Because you got a lot of players that are either into or a step past their primes right now, and still very good players. And you want to see the fruits of the labor here and not have to go through yet another reboot. And the start of the season, again, is vital. And I know it doesn't matter what the fans think, or it doesn't matter what the advertisers think, but this team owes a lot of people a little something. It just does. Organizationally speaking, they owe you. Because you've been going out, been going to games, been sifting through all of this muck to hopefully be able to stand behind firmly and be proud of the product they put on the field. And, it's been few and far between. But when I mentioned the first game, the second game, we were talking about this in the hallway a little bit earlier, and I think about it in terms of, all right, you start 1-1, and it's not the best case scenario, but it's better than starting 0-2. I can't imagine if you started home 0-2 against two AFC-like teams. And what I mean by that, two AFC teams just like you, kind of in the same category as you. You cannot have it. Here's my hope. My hope is that Daniel Jones is, if for nothing else, what they view him to be, a calming influence. A better decision maker with better talent, with a feature running back, with across the board better wide receivers. I think that we can win that argument if there's a debate to happen. A much better offensive line, even with maybe a couple of questions. I don't know if you question Gonzalez or Bortolini, but I'm sure a lot of people will because of the veterans that are now elsewhere. But I hope to believe in that. Because I said this, I wonder why we're even here if it's not Richardson. And again, I know with articles that come out and explanations about how the drafting, the hard targeting of Anthony Richardson went down and, how that is unfair to, the coach or the general manager, it does not matter. Doesn't matter. You are what your team is. And nobody's going to give a crap on whether or not the owner did butt in and was a part of the decision-making process, or maybe heavy-handed on the decision-making process, heavy-handed on putting the wheels in motion for a guy that wasn't ready as a rookie. None of that is going to matter. It is going to be about the results. Now, I say this all the time, really, in terms of what I do. Yeah, and I take my cue for what I do in a lot of this world from Glenn Ross, the film of the 1990s, a great film. Always Be Closing, ABC. And in the world of sales, that is something they lean on all the time, but it is true. Always be closing. And there's a variety of ways in which this team has to close. And they have to do that to make you a believer, give you a reason to believe, which is why I still sit here and I remain skeptical, not because I want to live in a world of skepticism. I want there to be something that you can absolutely grasp and run with. As I mentioned, like with the Pacers last year. Hell, that didn't start out great, but they had laid the foundation, if you remember, a year ago. Didn't start out great at all, but you kind of knew the roots of it. And there was that expectation, at least I had that expectation, that at some point that team that I believe firmly in was going to transition into the team that they ultimately were. And that's the belief that this team's going to have to bring before you. And just with the results and with winning, that's what is going to have to be executed, and especially at the beginning of the season. Again, especially coming up on Sunday against Miami. And we were talking about this yesterday. If you look at the Miami game, 16-10 winner by the Colts, I think in October of a year ago, there's really not a lot you can take away from that. You know, there were more than a subtle difference between what you view then and what you view right now. It was still a Colts win, and that's great. I remember the time everybody was, hey, that's great. They still won. But you get a healthy Tua. Now, nobody's going to hold their breath and see if he sustains a level of health to be able to play in Miami, you know, much like we did with Anthony Richardson up here. But when they are healthy, they have two of the more dangerous weapons, skill position players that can burn you, and a quarterback that can get it done too. When healthy, when active, when playing, it is a significant threat. A lot to prove to the Colts, not just over the course of the season, but especially at the beginning of this season. And that is coming up tomorrow. We did have a meeting with the media. You got lots of sound for us today from all that a little bit earlier today. I know Daniel Jones in front of the locker met with the media a little bit earlier. We'll get to a lot of that, a lot of insight on the preparation for the Dolphins coming up on Sunday. I am glad that it is back, but I am a little bit selfish in this. I do want to see this kind of play off because, listen, you can look at, for example, I'll give you a great example of the Fever right now. A lot of the expectations happen. A lot of those expectations have been squashed. Now, again, that's because of injuries. Now, if there's one thing around here that has been consistent, it has been a high level of injuries. And I don't think anybody related to that team ends up getting injured. Seriously, I'm surprised if you're fans, you don't like walk to the game and trip over something, trip over the curb, and now because everybody around that seemingly gets injured. Even their personnel, even their staff. But that has not been what everybody thought it was going to be. And certainly that is the biggest reason as to why. But certainly the most important aspect around here would be fandom in the Colts, where you're looking for something that has not occurred in a while, and that is an above-average level of consistency and a reason for you to believe and to get excited about it again. That has been incredibly lost with this group. I think we'd all understand that it's about damn time for it to return. And the only way you can truly get things going in that capacity is show the folks. And that starts coming up on Sunday with the Dolphins. I know it sounds weird. It's week one. I know it's coming from me, so you think I'm rabble-rousing or stirring the pot or embellishing. Yeah, this is an absolute. Yeah, you can go ahead and crunch the numbers and do the math and tell me, well, it's not true because you still have all the season remaining. It doesn't matter if you lose. But you tell me the feeling if you're walking out of that place on Sunday afternoon after a loss. I cannot imagine. And then getting Denver in week number 2. And I don't know how much. I do believe in Denver, but when you think about it, I mean, the Colts were at the goal line drop of the football from Jonathan Taylor away from beating them a year ago. But you have two like teams, and you have one team at home in week 1 and week 2 that needs to develop some believers out there. And that's what we're all looking for. All of us. So we can talk about that at 239-1070 if you so desire. Yeah, inside what we like to call our text line. Same number, 317-239-1070. We can do it that way if you like. Now, a lot of other news going on, much like we were talking about in the crossover a little bit earlier. I do also like watching the U.S. Open. It's weird. So I started watching Djokovic and Fritz last night in the quarterfinals of the men. And I think it only went 4 sets, but I started watching it, and then I left to hoop it up, and then I came back, and it was still going on. Normally, this is about the time when you get these incredible matches. I know that we always kind of lean on yesteryear being the best. In the case of tennis, it is high-level tennis, but yesteryear is definitely always going to be viewed as the best, no matter how you look at it. So we can hit a lot of that, too, a little MLB if you want to go in there. I mentioned college football. One of the most important players on this IU roster, Aiden Fischer, the All-American linebacker, going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. He, along with some others, obviously transferred in from James Madison and has made an incredible impact and can really help explain what we all witnessed on Saturday. You're glad that you win, but in this situation with higher expectations, and that's where you hope IU's going to remain. So you hope you have people going, well, wait a minute, you got to win by more than that. And one of the points to be made is defensively, other than 2 big plays, they were dominant. But there were 2 big plays. Aiden Fischer is going to join us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. We will discuss those 2 big plays and how you play off of it. And one of the guys on that team that has been with Curt Cignetti the entire time, and certainly one of the players that Curt Cignetti trusts above all else. We'll talk to Aiden Fischer of IU coming up in the 5 o'clock hour for you right there. I think Kevin Bowen's going to join us. He was at the media sessions a little bit earlier today over on West 56. We'll talk to Kev about that across the board coming up a little bit later on as well. I mentioned the Bullseye Event Center with bullseyeeventgroup.com and the Colts VIP Tailgate presented by Hayes and Sons Restoration. That is coming up on Sunday. It is a first-timer. I love this because I mentioned this yesterday, and I could not quite remember what the bet was, and nobody's really helping me out. But I thought I bet Mike Chappell that the roof would be open in at least 4 games for the Colts before Halloween. And the reason that I felt that is because you have 2 games to start the season, and you have 1 late afternoon. So the late afternoon on week 2 is not going to be affected by the shadows because, listen, I think as much as you complain about the roof being open, most of you hate it. Seriously, most of you hate it. Even the diehard, real football, whatever, dorks out there hate it. I will say this. When it's closed and it's good weather out, that is one argument to have. When it is open and it's good weather out, and I get more complaints out of people being in the sun and being too hot, seriously, too hot than anything. So I always felt, as I've mentioned before, I should shimmy up there and just go ahead and weld that bad boy shut and be done with it. But I did make a bet with Mike Chappell 4 times. And when you look at it, I think I may have a shot at this. 4 times. I don't know what the record is. I don't know if anybody keeps track. I don't know if there is a record. Hell, I don't know if anybody outside of me really cares. But a bet's a bet. I think I would mow his lawn, is what I said, his property or something in Beech Grove. But I'm looking for 4. And we shall see, unless I bet something different. I thought it was 4 games, though. I really did. I know James is looking for the information right now. I don't know how many times it has been. I know the latest was the Manning return game, and that was the most glorious night of football, not because they won in the Manning return game, but it was cool and crisp on a Sunday night. It was, if you're somebody that gets off on football weather, it was football weather. I'll give you a couple of differences. Some will suggest when I went to the playoff in Kansas City, when Andrew Luck took on the Chiefs, that was awful. I hated it. That's why I hate Arrowhead Stadium. I think it's a dump. I got hit by 19 ice balls. I didn't even have Colts gear on. I just wore my own crap. Drunks were throwing ice balls at me. I just thought it was a miserable experience. To me, that's not real football. I think that football sucks. The viewing experience sucked, and a lot of it was because the Colts stunk in that game too, but the overall viewing experience really stunk. We had a snowstorm here, and they had snow and ice there. I remember Drew Storen and Tucker Barnhart, still, by the way, in Major League Baseball, and I and others had to push cars off the exit ramp so we could get our bus into the parking lot at Arrowhead. And Jim Cantore actually sent me an X message, as it is now. It was a Twitter message saying, hey, can I use you guys in this video that I had sent out with you? I say, look, we got a couple of Reds players pushing cars off the road here. Very safe, guys. Well done. I hope we're not violating any contracts. But that was a miserable experience. The Manning return night was not, even before they ended up winning. Yes, James, you have an answer?
So I have not been able to find how many the most it's been open in a season, but this is from October of last year. In 134 regular season games, the roof has only been open 39 times. 39 times. There is zero way it's been open more than like 3 times in a season, right? I would say at most 4.
I would have to think that game was that October the 27th? That game that I'm thinking about, the Manning return game? That was the latest I can ever remember the roof being open. I could be wrong about that. That's the latest I remember. And we'll find out a little bit more coming up tomorrow when Mike Chappell joins us on the show. Andrew Catalon is the unofficial national television voice of the Colts. Andrew's going to join us on the show tomorrow. James.
The game was October 20th.
20th. Maybe it was later then, but I don't think so. I thought that may have been the latest on record. We shall see. Anyway, I mentioned tomorrow we're going to be at Joe's Grill, Castleton. Man, Nally is going to be with us. I'm assuming Miller's going to be with us. We have week number 1 of our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. It all gets real coming up tomorrow night. The Cowboys and the Eagles. I cannot decide who I want to lose more. I think it's the Eagles. And not because I'm looking for any vindication from the Cowboys or anything like that, but I think it's the Eagles. Like Nick Sirianni gives you so many reasons why you go, wow, this guy's a really good coach, Super Bowl winning coach, but he's also given you reasons in the past why not to like him, even though he's been the OC here before. Cowboys and Eagles, we'll start with that. Brazil on Friday night on YouTube TV. I guess that is available for everybody. That is not something we have to jump around and pay 19 different angles to watch. Chiefs and Chargers from Sao Paulo, Brazil, coming up on Friday. Then everything else on Sunday after a Saturday of college football, a Friday night of high school football. Hey, cheers to football and your chance to win Bullseye Event Center passes coming up. All you can eat, all you can drink. You know exactly the game day experience is made before you hit the stadium for that 1 o'clock start. By the way, next week, going to be even better, too, because that is a late afternoon game. So we're going to get all kinds. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. We're going to have all sorts of fun before that. I promise. I almost said we're going to get all sorts of tuned up, but I didn't. Don't lay that on me. Now, great times coming up in the next 2 weeks at the Bullseye Event Center. Remember, the ride to kickoff begins with me on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Tomorrow, Joe's Grill, Castleton, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. I would invite you guys to play along. Friday, we're going to be at Taylor's Pub in Nora. That's Bud Light Blue Friday. Dolphins and Colts tickets, and some of you have asked about it. We're going to be giving those away coming up on Friday, Taylor's Pub, Nora, Bud Light, Blue Friday. And I want you to make sure you're involved in our Pigskin Pick'em. That's a winner-take-all scenario. I'll explain coming up on the other side. If you want to jump on board with anything we talked about, any NFL predictions, because I'm going to lay mine out there coming up as well. Sit tight for that. Your calls, 239-1070. 317-239-1070 is the text line, the stream, the app. It is HD Radio, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. And thank me later. All your travels, somebody's got your back. My friends Matt and Matt from AAA, become a member today. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Look at all those ding-dongs.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, I think with that is just like when I think about keeping on track, it's like, hey, it could be, whatever 1st and 10, and we have a shot called and it's not there, and he gets it, do a check down or whatever, and gets us to 2nd and 2 instead of being in 2nd and 10 in those passing situations. So that's keeping us on track, finding those easy completions too.
Shane Steichen, a little bit earlier today regarding Daniel Jones and what he believes the impact of the in it 6 years, 20 games under 500, but what the hell, a change of scenery. Change in landscape could do not only Daniel Jones a great deal of good, but hopefully the Colts as well. Week number 1 coming up on Sunday. That's the Dolphins and the Colts. I'm going to get you started 9 a.m. The Ride to kick off live at the Bullseye Event Center. I have Bullseye Event Center passes to give away, not just today, but for the remainder of the week. And again, doors open at 10 a.m. I'll be there at 9, but 10 a.m., that is coming up on Sunday with BullseyeEventGroup.com. Will power to Andretti Global. A little bit earlier today, the seat opened up as Colton Herta bails, and we're going to have some more moving around. The open seat with Team Penske, and a lot of people were talking about a couple of different drivers, David Malukas being one of them. Now, we shall see. But a couple of news items just a little bit earlier today regarding that. All right, 239-1070 is the number. Email address is jmv at 1075thefan.com, and we have been utilizing what has been an incredible text stream so far. I think you guys are digging the text stream. JMV, it's not gaslighting to talk about the Colts, but it is to try and say Chris Ballard had no influence on picking Anthony Richardson. Not that you've said it, but I've heard people trying to promote that on different platforms, that Ballard was forced to pick him by Jim. I really have just kind of blanketed in this fashion. Thank you, Nate, for that comment. And I think this is about as simple as you can make it. Simple, but very true. It doesn't matter. That was the selection. Chris was the GM. Shane Steichen was the head coach. It doesn't matter. On your watch, you're 9 years in, the results or lack thereof, that's what's going to matter. Being able to show better results, to get back to the postseason, to build some excitement, to find something that is real and not just fleeting in moments of a 60-yard back foot throw for a touchdown, or limping your way to the finish, not being able to finish. I mean, this all also has happened. That part to me doesn't matter. And believe me, I'm not saying something that is not commonly known, really anywhere, but certainly in the NFL. Selection was made on your watch. That's going to be on you. I mean, you're in year number 9. There's no explaining your way out of this. The only way you can work your way out of it is show positive results, to do something in which consistently you have not done. That is the only way the story continues, and frankly, the only way the story should continue. The rest of it is, what do they say, window dressing? And it's for curb appeal. It does not work. It has not worked. And that's why it's going to take those types of positive moments and the results that I'm talking about to make this thing believable. And that is also why you magnify week number 1. You go 10-plus years without a week number 1 win. This is a significant situation on Sunday. Yeah, even if the math doesn't say so. All right, 239-1070. I want some phones. You give me some phones, and Thomas is going to lead on this bad boy today on a Wednesday. Thomas, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am great. I'm on I-74 heading down to Cincinnati for the Reds game.
All right,
Dinner at
the Redlegs.
Dinner at the Montgomery Inn. Dinner at the Montgomery Inn beforehand, so I ought to be good messy.
No, you should be good. Now, what Cincinnati stuff you going to take in? You going to eat like Cincinnati food? You going to go Cincinnati on this bad boy over in Cincinnati? You going Frisch's Big Boy, something like that? What are you doing?
Going to the Montgomery Inn and having ribs down there on the river.
It's not bad. You know, the Reds game last night was a nice offensive shootout had the Reds been able to win. Otherwise, you just go, it's very Reds-like, yeah.
Knowing how the Reds play, I'm expecting them to get shut out tonight, so it'll be fun.
Well,
but
go
hey,
over the
I wanted to give you a little Teddy Ruxpin insight. Back in '85, I was in law school and worked for a firm in Houston for the summer, and we drafted the trademark patent application for Teddy Ruxpin. And I'm here to tell you, if you think he looks scary now, he looked like a demon-possessed rat when they originally brought him forward.
Did it not pass? Did people reject the look initially? They have to go back to the drawing board?
Yeah, we put in the first paragraph, kind of as smart-ass law students, that this is the guaranteed way to scare your least favorite grandchild, because it was ugly. I mean, it was so ugly. And it came back a year later, and I thought he looked cuddly, comparatively speaking.
That thing talked, and you put cassette players in it, didn't you, if memory serves?
You could. There were a lot of different ways to mess with the kids with that thing. But the best part was, putting different voices in there.
Yeah.
Which could really mess with a 2-year-old. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know, if you thought it was ugly now, you should have seen it before.
No question about that. Hey, enjoy the ribs at the Montgomery Inn, that fine barbecue in the Reds game later on tonight. Drive safely.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you for the call. It was a little I-74 southeast bounded down right there. JMV, wouldn't it be nice the Colts to make the postseason and Ballard still gets fired? I don't think it's nice for anybody to get fired. I don't like to put it that way. But they make the postseason, he's coming back. They make the postseason, Shane's coming back. My opinion, now, I don't know that to be sure, but my opinion is you make the postseason, which, let's just say, you make the postseason out of the AFC South, you're winning the division. You win the division, make the postseason, that's euphoria around here. It's not like the Manning era when you go, that's just the rite of passage there. But this is euphoric. They're all coming back. They're going to run that bad boy back and actually have a reason to do it. Adam the Runner says, is the call line not working? James, I think the call line is working fantastically right now.
Yeah, it's working fine. He may have tried to call in when it was completely full of people trying to get bullseye passes.
Adam's a runner. Now, this was from an AI overview. I hesitate to use this because I should not be a fan of AI. Are you a fan of Grok?
Not really, no.
I never use it. Was there like a point in time when people were grokking who was the most famous person that checked out their timeline? That was like a trend for like a weekend or something, wasn't it? Nerds. The Colts' overall NFL ranking 2024 varied, but they hovered around the middle of the league with some of the outlets placing them. This is the AI overview of the Colts a year ago. The team faced significant injuries, including to key players like quarterback Anthony Richardson and running back Jonathan Taylor, which impacted their performance and contributed to their inconsistent ranking. So, yeah, Grok is handing out excuses, I think, is what you're saying to me here. That's pretty funny. The Grok excuse. JMV, I get what you're saying regarding the start of this season, but we have to also keep in mind it is a long season, and believe me, that's not lost on me. The length of the season is not something I've forgotten about. However, one thing the Colts have forgotten about is, and Colts fans would attest to this, is winning at the beginning of it. I'm sorry. Simply put, this is a big, fat have to. It is. I don't care what you think about that particular opinion. It is a big, fat have to. It's where we start. really, NFL, they'll tell you in general terms, is week to week anyway. But outside of our own little bubble, it's kind of like really with all the sports. With the Pacers, remember, we always felt compelled because we knew so much more than the others did. Remember nationally, especially at the start of the Pacer run, how little they knew? I mean, it was just like jackassery across the board. Oh, well, the Colts, blah, 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 blah. Didn't know anything. They had to learn it. I remember Kendrick Perkins trying to talk about the Pacers. They had zero idea. He had zero idea what he was talking about because nobody ever paid attention. It's kind of the way that it is right now. Nobody really pays attention. Nobody has really paid attention around here since Andrew Luck retired 2 seconds before the start of the season. So leave it up to us to truly understand what matters and what is meaningful. That, friends, that's where we are right now. And that should easily magnify this start to you. JMV, when Ballard was talking about a change in scenery, helped Mayfield and Darnold, and that was his reason for keeping Richardson, are we sure he wasn't actually talking about why they got Daniel Jones? No, and I said at the time, C-Rod, that it would work for both. It does apply to both. A change in scenery. I just think that the Colts decision is much like what a lot of you believe to be the quarterback position. You think or you have hope or believe greater that Daniel Jones can be the answer or the example of that Ballard statement. Certainly a lot more than what has been the significant pipe dream of Anthony Richardson being the example. But no, you're absolutely right. Quick break. Other side, you and I, top of the hour. Bowen's going to be here. He was a part of the media throng a little bit earlier over on West 56th Street. We'll chat about that. And we'll get to Aiden Fischer, IU linebacker, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Road shows tomorrow. Road shows on Friday in studio. JMV Takeover Saturday. Man, there is a ton. I love this time of year because I start the path of 7 days a week until Thanksgiving. 7 days a week until B105.7 changes over to Christmas music, and I go, enough is enough. I'm not doing this crap. If I'm going to do an all-request Saturday night with Christmas music, it would last 15 minutes because there's like 3 songs I like. But no, the exciting time of the year is 7 days a week for me and you guys all being a part of it. And hopefully some form or fashion, whether it's partying at the Bullseye Event Center, seeing you in Touchdown Town, or out at our live shows Thursdays and Fridays. Hopefully you guys can make it more than you miss it with us on this show. 2025 NFL season starts tomorrow, matter of fact. Quick break, we'll come back. Top of the hour, Kevin Bowen's going to join us. Your calls until then at 239-1070. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
stupid is no way to go through life, son.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
I think just everything, like you learn as you go, right? So, some things you learn and you want to tweak. Just like even this morning in the team meeting, just being more precise on how we're going to win the game. I always talk about how to win the game, but it's like, hey, here are the main things, right? You can have like 6 or 7 things, but here are the 3 things that we need to do on offense and defense and special teams to win the game. And be very clear and direct in that. And like I said, the messaging's got to be on point every single week on how we need to win the game and continue to be a leader, right? I always talk about leadership. It's an inspire, empower, and guide. And that's my job as a head coach.
Shane Steichen a little bit earlier today. Colts, injury-wise, let me knock on some wood here because we are here in central Indiana, which means normally that massive injuries are just around the corner with your favorite sports teams, right? So don't hold your breath regarding this information. But everything looks pretty good with the exception, I think, Tyler Goodson, the running back, was limited. But all in all, to start the season, you have to feel pretty good. Again, never forget where we are. Just always happens, right? It always happens until it doesn't. There's something else I think that I would like to see this market shake loose of here with this Colts season, and that is just always, I know injuries are a part of it, but damn. Just look how they've been around here. Seriously, you can't even have an incredible season without getting injury hosed around here with the Pacers. Everybody excited about the fever. Look what happened there. Everybody on their team, hell, their staff members or popping Achilles or ACLs or popping something. Yeah. I guess that only ends until it does, which sounds incredibly weird to say, but a little bit of truth to it. All right, we'll talk about the relative health of this team and that of Miami, because there's one big reason why you can't judge from the win a year ago. There's not a lot to judge. I think a lot of what Shane Steichen just had to say is what he's hoping for. That is the turning over of a new leaf. Now, he's just talking about the basics. The basics that lead to winning. Yeah, a year ago they beat the Dolphins, but this is going to be different. And the Dolphins are going to have skill guys there that can make a difference. They might not be, for the long haul, a higher level team, but man, for the moment, in a term that I love to use because we all end up giggling about it, the spurtability of this team is massive. Get that giggle. Bowen about that. Aiden Fischer, the IU linebacker, joins us. IU and Kennesaw State coming up this weekend. In fact, Kennesaw State, Indiana State. Indiana State next week, I think, is a 6:30 kick. And then they get going with Illinois in the Big Ten after that. Kennesaw State coming up this weekend, and a recap of that opener against Old Dominion, a team that, in fact, recruited Aiden Fischer out of high school. Aiden Fischer of IU, their linebacker, coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Bullseye Event Center passes too. That and more. Do not go anywhere. The Stream, the app, HD Radio, and 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Crank it up. This is requested music from Southern California. Jim McCann wants Paul Anka. Kevin Bowen of the Morning Show, which is incredibly appropriate. Some of the lyrics are fantastic here. Listen. Oh, here it is. Kevin Bowen of the Morning Show is here. Jim McCann wants to bring it back. An oldie but a goodie right there for you, brother.
Man, unbelievable. I meant to tell you, this is probably 3 or 4 months ago when Maddie and we found out we were having a third, and I'm at the grocery one day, and all of a sudden I walk down an aisle, and Paul Anka gets stuck in my head, and it's the damn lyric about the seed, and I'm just like, John Michael Vincent, that man is literally planted that song inside of my head, and I don't think it's ever going to come out.
Does she like it? Have you played it for her before?
Boy, I can't say I've dialed that up. No, I don't. I don't think Paul would fall into any baby making music these days.
Oh man! So when's number 3 come sliding into home base? I should say home base, home plate, home base. I sound like a dork. I'm sorry. Home plate.
Yeah, she had her 30-week appointment today. Said everything going well. So November 10th is our due date.
Oh.
But I want to say both Rosie and Max came a little bit earlier. So, yeah, I don't know. Cold schedule-wise, maybe it bumps right up to the old Berlin bye week. That wouldn't be too bad. But, yeah, we're looking at kind of late October, early November.
Ah, man. Well, congratulations again. That is absolutely awesome news. So that may be your re-entry song until around November the 10th, I think. It's certainly appropriate. And I'm assuming here Jim will probably call the all-request JMV takeover and get his song request in there, too. So hope you don't mind.
Well, 1,000%. Yes, we're having a girl, and then I think when we get to, mid-March next year, it might be time for me to put some peas on the you-know-what and watch the old March Madness from the couch for a couple days.
Oh, are you seriously? You're going that direction, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Would you, not that I consult you for my, genital area, but you have helped me out in some other physical areas before. Would you suggest that, or would you not suggest that?
I will say this, even at 55, I still think I want my boys running loose.
Boy, I hate to ask just in case. Like,
I don't know. There's just always something kind of about it, It's just always, I don't know.
Once you learn how to swim, you don't want to go back. Is that what you're saying?
I just, and people say that it's easy, and I know we run, the commercials right before March Madness of it as well, but yeah, I don't know. I just, maybe I'm just not, I don't know. That's weird. I've not really thought about it until you brought it up. I don't think I probably ever will. Thanks for bringing it up.
Well, next time you're pulling up from the volleyball line at Center Grove, maybe that thought will pop into your head.
Man, I can't wait. It's like last night. 3 days in a row last night was the culmination of that. 3 days in a row right there. And I'm a little sore right now.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm limping down the hall wearing these old school Adidas shoes, which are the most uncomfortable shoes of all time in the first place. But, yeah, feeling pretty good, Kev, right now. Do you play golf still often or not much anymore?
I will say this. I probably get out, at a decent rate for having, 2 young ones. So I probably play, I would say once every 10 to 14 days. So, yeah, selfishly, I'd love to play more. I probably need to live in a dose of reality there. And we do a big golf trip each year with my in-laws. So I play enough, honestly.
Hey, I did want to ask you this, and I'm assuming you probably haven't read up on too much of it, and I haven't either, but what the Clippers did with Kawhi Leonard reportedly to kind of skirt around the salary cap with Kawhi Leonard. Let's just say, for the sake of this, that's true and that did happen. Do you think that happens more often than we actually know? Because the reason why I bring it up is how all of a sudden, through what Milwaukee did to pop up with that number and to swoop in with the Miles Turner stuff. And I know that they had to get hardcore on Damian Lillard to do that, but it kind of makes you wonder whether or not that happens a lot more out there. Because are you like me? You're always thinking, well, how do they do that? How do they get all these guys in and then everybody else seems like that it's so tight and they can't work it? And, I think it starts to make a little bit of sense if that does take place, maybe more often than what we're aware.
Yeah, I probably agree with you, as sad as that sounds, but there is a little bit of me, it's like, man, won't the punishment, don't you think these leagues, if this stuff were to happen, and I guess it is or has happened, the punishment would be quite severe and just, frankly, a bit embarrassing. I don't want to act like I'm living in a fairy tale land and act like this stuff doesn't happen of, oh, yeah, let's let, star player come over and, cut coach's grass and see how much money, whatever the booster is going to supply for that. I'm sure that does indeed happen. But, oftentimes I feel like, I'm trying to think of like penalties we've seen in professional sports where, leagues step in. And, again, this situation strikes me as a little bit different. But I would like to think and hope Adam Silver and the NBA will be pretty immense with that. I don't know exactly what they will do, but I probably shouldn't live in a naive world.
Yeah, you think that'll be a financial penalty, or will it? I don't think Steve Ballmer's worried. I don't think Steve Ballmer's worried about any financial penalties, is he?
No, but draft picks. As crazy as it sounds, I don't. In college we obviously see it much more than we've ever really seen in pro sports. But is there any sort of postseason ban you could throw out there? That would be taking it to, quite a big level. But, yeah, financial ramifications clearly only go so far for owners. But, if you start to tinker with, by all accounts, Ballmer is a psychotic fan. He's a crazy fan and obviously wants to win at the highest level. So, whatever, you start saying, hey, you can't make trades. Hey, you can't, whatever, do this. You can't do that, draft pick-wise as well. I don't know. Maybe that would impact him in a little bit more of a way than, other penalties would.
Kevin Bowen, the morning show, 7 until 10 a.m. He, James Boyd, and Jeff Rickard, and Mark Dykton have you weekday mornings, Monday through Friday here on The Fan. All right, I'm just trying to make a little conversation and connecting the dots. Have we seen the Colts be as healthy on paper as they are right now since the last time they actually won a week one contest to start a season? Have they been this? Because it seems like, and maybe it's because we just get hit over the head with injuries nonstop around here with any team of any kind, but it seems like they're as healthy as I can remember them to start the season.
Yeah, when you think about it, Justin Wally tears the ACL about a month ago, and that's it from an expected starter standpoint. And even if you look at, like, backups, nobody – I guess Hunter Wohler maybe you would have classified as that, but that's really it. And again, you're talking about two rookies, which, that you always have tempered expectations when it comes to those guys. So, typically, last year Samson Ebukam tore his Achilles in camp, and then you usually have, a guy open up on, the physically unable to perform list. Anthony Costanzo, I remember, missed kind of a month plus to start one season. So, yeah, this is – I can't. Yeah, this is about as healthy as you're going to see. 53 dudes practice today, and 52 of them practice full. So, a lot of things are favoring the Colts in that you're healthier than Miami. You're at home. Hell, Miami had a coach get arrested over the weekend. There's a lot of drama. To be fair, there's a lot of big picture drama around both organizations.
No, they're probably saying at least it wasn't a player.
Well, which, yeah. Given their track record, I don't know. Maybe wait till Sunday before we stamp that. But yes, there is just a lot, I think, going around. Honestly, a little bit more with Miami. Like, I guess we could sit here and say, well, I'd rather have Tua and Tyreek Hill than, Daniel Jones and Michael Pittman Jr., but, watching Tua's press conference today, I mean, he's fielding questions right and left about his relationship with Tyreek Hill and, the issues there, blah, blah, blah. That's a lot. So, again, those two talents are still going to play on Sunday, which if they can get their act together for 60 minutes, that might be enough, whereas we obviously didn't see Tua in last year's matchup. But Miami's got a lot going on, which, it sounds like what the Colts do, but I'd argue Miami's got a little bit more going on, too. They won't have their starting kicker either. Again, I know it might sound like a little thing, but they had to do the free agent workout kicker thing already like a week ago. Their kicker got hurt in the preseason, so that's another thing to add to it.
Are you at all concerned about the opposition rush? I don't think we've talked too much about it. We've been kind of preoccupied with other aspects, and I think we're confident that the offensive line is going to be good to hopefully better than just good, even with, the two new faces there in Bortolini and Gonzalez. But are we confident enough really not to address it, considering Miami does have some guys that you have to eyeball and watch out for in terms of disruption? Any concern there at all going into Sunday?
Yeah, and I think the Colts might counter that with just some really quick tempo from, play to play and also within the play. I don't – Daniel Jones, I think wants to get rid of that ball a little bit hot potato-y. And, of course, this is the fine balance you walk with quarterbacks. And, frankly, I watched my team do it Sunday night in Notre Dame of, I'm all for whatever, getting quarterbacks calmed into a game and high percentage throws, but that offense looks really, really horizontal. You're only going to go so far down the field. And I think that will be the big question with the Colts all season long is, can you be more of a horizontal passing offense? How often can you grind out long drives? So, again, how they counter that with tempo will be something to keep an eye on.
Kev, who benefits the most with Daniel Jones in this offense?
I'd say definitely Tyler Warren. Probably Josh Downs, too. If you look back to the Giants years, those slot guys there with New York benefited. But, yeah, I think, again, getting the balls in the hands of guys more on underneath stuff. I think some of the running backs could benefit from that. I'm not exactly sure what the pass-catching running backs are going to look like. But those would be ones. Pierce, to me, is a guy that, can they really get shots to him down the field? He was such a weapon last year.
First play of the game, man. Just go against, right? First offensive play of the game. Go against the grain and go. Because all we've done since he got here, and certainly since he got the gig, was talk about how he doesn't go down the field or he's incapable of doing it. I mean, don't you just go at it on that first play?
Well, and honestly, was it not C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins the first play? I'm trying to think of that.
Of every game.
Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah.
that set quite the tone, a couple of years back in that stadium. And, I want to be clear with Daniel Jones. It's not that his arm is shot by any means. I mean, I can think of several times in practice. I mean, I think Alec Pierce beating Xavier Howard in a rep in practice a couple weeks ago, where Daniel Jones's arm was on full display. To me, it's more of a, in the game, what is your willingness to do it? And, I've probably made this baseball analogy too often, but, the Colts have just changed their tune. They've gone from, we need the home run self-creator at quarterback to now we need the guy that's going to hit singles, move runners over, and just be more methodical. And, I can see whatever, Ryan Tannehill, the Titans, or, Alex Smith, obviously they use endlessly, or Brock Purdy, whatever. Like, I can see where you're coming from on that. But, again, there can be a very fine line in, your dink and dunk ability just going sideways. That can only work for so long. And that will be the question throughout this season with this offense is, are you creating enough big plays? Because I think in the NFL, it's just difficult against these defenses to really grind out, 12 play, 82-yard drop, things like that, I think you have to have that ability to create some big plays. And, Miami is a very efficient offense with Tua, but when they're at their best and when they've been at their best, it's because Tua hits them over the top to Tyreek Hill, to Jalen Waddle. Devon Achane can definitely make some plays after the catch. So that's what the Colts are going to bank on. Jones hits these guys in stride, and in rhythm, and they can make some plays after the catch, and try to stay ahead of the chains. All those cliches. That's what the Colts are banking on this year.
Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Kevin Bowen of the Morning Show is with us. When it's said and done, who's going to be the Colts' defensive MVP? And I guess I want you to say it in terms of them having a successful season.
Yeah, I mean, the best answer would be Latu. That would be, I think if you're going to say the Colts are a top half defense, Latu would be that. I mean, I do think about the two new guys in the secondary, specifically Charvarius Ward and Cam Bynum. Both of them I thought had some impressive moments at times in camp. Can they be that for you? Can Ward, there was a lot of talk in the offseason about Ward shadowing guys. I don't know if you walk into Sunday's matchup and look at him shadowing maybe one of those guys. Next week, for example, you play Cortland Sutton and the Broncos. To me, that's one where it's like, all right, Sutton's kind of clearly the guy. He's a little bit more of a bigger guy like Ward, and then the group kind of falls off after that. To me, that screams more of kind of a shadow, or depending on what the Rams look like, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, like those types of guys a little bit later in week 4. Marvin Harrison Jr., for example, in October. So, Ward is a guy that I also think if he is the answer, that could aid that as well. Because, way too often in recent years, you've just seen, big play wideouts feast, especially against the Colts. But, it probably goes back to Latu. I know you've hammered this point home over the last couple of weeks. And, when they popped up that graphic on SportsCenter during the Micah Parsons trade, I think the Colts were second in the NFL with the longest drought of not having a guy with 10 sacks in a season. I think it's been 5 straight years. And I want to say the only 2 double-digit sack guys since Robert Mathis, which is over a decade ago, were Eric Walden and Justin Houston. And those two just barely creeped into it. So, if Latu can create hey, you really have to worry about me week in and week out, boy, that could do wonders for you.
What do you think the Colts are going to do this season in terms of wins versus losses? Do you have anything in mind, or are you waiting to unveil that on the morning show? I'll respect that if that's what you're doing.
Well, can you imagine if I tease that right now and all of a sudden you had somebody tune in, on the edge of their seat at 7:40 tomorrow for me to reveal what the win total is going to be?
Is that what you're doing tomorrow at 7:40?
Well,
I didn't know that for sure. Yeah.
Well, I have no idea actually what we're doing tomorrow at 7:40, but I will say 9. I'll go 9-8. Over under is 7.5. The defense can't be that bad again, I don't think, and I think there's enough skill group around Jones for them to eclipse the over under there. So I kind of hovered around 8-9. And look, you can view it in a couple of ways, John. You can look at last year and say, hey, Jonathan Taylor, just hold on to the football in Denver, et cetera. Well, I mean, all their wins were by 1 score last year. So all it takes is Anthony Richardson doesn't have one more heroic against New England, or he doesn't convert that 1 4th down against the Jets, and then boom, that's a win. That's reversed. They really haven't beat. I mean, honestly, if they beat 2 on Sunday, I think you can make a strong argument that's the best quarterback they've beaten since September 2023. I think you got to go back to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore in that Week 3 matchup for the last legit quarterback that they've beaten. So, you can look at it in that light, because I do think there are a few more of the Tua and better than Tua type quarterbacks on this year's schedule than you have faced recently here. But I'll go 9-8.
Does that mean you have them starting 3-0, 2-1?
I think I had them. I want to say I did 3-1 and 4-2. I think I had them losing to Denver next week, and I want to say I had them losing to the Rams then in week 4. What are the other games around that? Isn't
so
it
you got to start at 2-2. So you have them beating Miami, losing to Denver, beating Tennessee, losing at the Rams.
Right, and then isn't it Raiders Cardinals at home after that? I mean, those are like 10 a.m. kickoff times, for those West Coast. I mean, those first 6 games, John, anything short of 4-2 to me would be a disappointment.
And that's the thing too. If for them to, because I think we're on the same page, right? You got to win the division to get to the postseason. in the South, right? Don't you have to win it? Or do you think they can get it as a wild card?
Yeah, I don't know. Three wild card teams always, those other divisions beat each other up.
So
does
9 win get you a wild card?
It's probably either 9 or 10. You'd have to look up last year. I mean, literally, if you beat Denver last year, you probably get in. And what were you last year? Were you 8 and 9? So if you reverse that to 9 and 8, didn't Denver have to win their final game of the season to get in, if I remember correctly, against Kansas City? So yeah, 9 or 10. The key is, and this is why week 1 and 2, and you and I have talked about this since mid-May. I mean, I just think if you want to map out how the AFC looks at the end of the year, and if you believe the 4 teams that won their divisions each of the last 2 years will win them again, Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, Houston, that puts Miami and Denver with Indy right there as wildcard teams. And that means these first 2 weeks are massive. It's crazy to talk about a head-to-head tiebreaker on September 4th, but, when we get to December 4th or January 4th, that could matter a whole lot. The Colts had the tiebreaker over Miami late last season, and when they were still flirting around in that playoff picture, that was huge for them. So, I just think Miami and Denver's so big.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. No doubt about that. Must win for Texas A&M and Notre Dame when your Fighting Irish get back to it coming up on the 13th.
Indeed. Yeah, I really wish they had some cupcake team this week. I hate having to wait all the way until whatever it is, September 13th, for that next game. So, yeah, I probably lived in too much sorrow over a 3-point loss on the road against a top 10 team. I actually thought Miami looked fairly good, but I don't know. That one, in college football, I just hate playing from behind schedule-wise, and I get it. They did it last year, obviously, against Northern Illinois, but I think you play with fire, and you really put a lot of pressure on a first-time starting quarterback to be pretty flawless. Granted, I thought he looked good, all things considered, for his first start.
No, I did too. I did. I mean, Carson Beck's like my age, isn't he?
No, yeah. Well, he made some throws, and those Miami wideouts. I mean, they had Michael Irvin going nuts there. So,
well, I'm telling you that the catch by was it C.J. Daniels that made that incredible catch. Hey, if he doesn't catch that, that's picked off.
I know, or at the very least, it's like settling for a field goal. I mean, that play could have been the difference in the game there. So, again, I thought Mike Denbrock, their OC, Notre Dame's just a little too handcuffy on the young quarterback. I get it's raining, it's a top 10 road game, blah, 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 all that. But I don't know. I thought they were doing the Sam Dame bubble screens. And, I mean, hell, it got picked off there in the fourth quarter. It's just on a 2nd and 2. I'm like, here's your chance to take a shot down the field. Then you throw the same screen you've thrown 100 times already in the game, and boom, it gets picked.
I can't wait for this in closing with Kevin Bowen. We normally, Nick down the hall in digital has all of our picks. I think inevitably everybody's going to end up picking the Colts or the Dolphins, so then everybody's going to call us all homers. Are you ready for that? Because I'm guessing, right? Are you going to pick the Colts over the Dolphins?
Yeah, I will. I thought I heard Eddie Garrison maybe say Dolphins, so he might be the outlier. But
he's going to be a hater. Should I be a hater or a butt sniffer? What should I be in week 1?
Well, that's the thing. I believe last year, I forget which game it was, but I think Mo Alley Cox offered a retweet of our graphic after a win.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and called us haters there. So
haters.
I always like when we all pick the Colts, or when somebody goes rogue, when somebody does, Lee Corso, Florida State stuff, and then they get it right. Could you get the retweet there? I saw is Zaire Franklin going to appear on the Jeff Teague podcast moving forward? Did I see that correctly? Maybe Zaire will give you a shout out there.
Is Jeff Teague still the coach at Pike too?
I think so, which sometimes I hear his comments on the podcast. I'm like, man, I need to get a boss that allows me to say some of that.
What? I just assumed he was, but yeah, I mean, he says whatever he wants, I guess.
There's some great stories. Trust me, he's got me on the edge of my seat telling some of that. So yeah, I thought I heard in the media room today someone said that Zaire Franklin was going to be a weekly guest on the Jeff Teague pod, which again, him and EJ Speed had the old podcast, and now EJ Speed is with the Houston Texans.
Is Zaire Franklin mad at everybody, or is he on the same page with everybody? Because he used to be so loved, and then it kind of disappeared.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've never gotten like I mean, he's always been respectful to me, I guess, for what it's worth in the locker room sessions. But then sometimes on social, it's like you aren't totally sure. I saw people were kind of running with his reaction or lack thereof to Daniel Jones being named a captain. I mean, I found it odd today. All of a sudden, Zaire Franklin's speaking to the media speaking in the locker room. Next thing you know, Daniel Jones is talking. So, the media kind of makes a beeline over the quarterback. And I'm like, wait a minute. Wasn't it Zaire Franklin last year on his own podcast saying that he couldn't wait to face, like, Daniel Jones and the Giants?
Yes.
And I'm like, and now that dude is his fellow quarterback and his fellow captain. I'm like, this is incredible.
All right. Kevin Bowen, the morning show, 7 until 10 a.m., Monday through Friday here on The Fan, along with James Boyd and Jeff Rickard. Kev, I appreciate you, man. Go out there and have yourself a little bit of fun. And, hey, by the way, I'll catch you on Sunday morning, a little bit after 9. You ready to do that again?
Yeah. Get me right at 9.
Got you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, man. See you, John.
Kevin Bowen on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Yeah, our predictions are coming up later on this week. Our predictions for week 1 tomorrow. That's our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila shots. Live from Joe's Grill. Me, Brent Holverson, Nally Miller. It's going to be a blast. You guys got to be a part of it, too. Actually, 2 straight days. If you want to say 3 straight days, on Monday, James, we're at Twin Peaks in Greenwood. So Joe's Grill, Taylor's Pub, Nora, and then Twin Peaks on Monday. Reset that. Bullseye Event Center Pass is also coming up to a Lucky Caller 9. Not just yet, but coming up. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Yes, of course. The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Right. 1, 2, 5. 3, sir. 3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, no question. I think obviously it starts, the quarterback does a great job of getting the ball out of his hands very quick. He throws the spots, and Waddle and Tyreek are really good players. So obviously having a plan for those guys, and the running back's a good player. I think they do a good job with a lot of the things they do on offense. So we just got to be on our P's and Q's with all the stuff that they do and make sure we're detail-oriented going into this game.
Shane Steichen right there. Hey, by the way, too, if you missed Rick Ventura yesterday, the entirety of the 4 o'clock hour, make sure you double back for the podcast. We discussed absolutely everything there is to get into about the state of the Colts going into week 1 of 2025. And you can find that. 1075thefan.com. Rick Ventura and I in the podcast. And Rick, actually, multi-segments as a part of the Colts pregame huddle, which is underway on Sunday. 9 a.m., that's the Ride to Kickoff Bullseye Event Center with bullseyeeventgroup.com and the Colts VIP tailgate. Their doors open at 10. I go to Touchdown Town, and me and Bill and Joe and Casey and Rick hang out with you for 2 hours leading up to countdown to kickoff, and then that 1 o'clock start to get the season officially underway. The Dolphins and the Colts. And if you want tickets, Bud Light Blue Fridays, those are back. Shout out to my friends at Zinc. Kyle and the gang have us coming up on Friday, Taylor's Pub in Nora. Kyle and Chelsea and me and you and your chance to win Dolphins Colts tickets for week 1. That is a Bud Light Blue Friday. They are back again. It's weird. We're going to be all over the place tomorrow. Joe's Grill, Castleton, Heaven Hill Distillery, Brent Halverson, our Larceny Bourbon Locks, and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. And then, as I mentioned, too, even next week, so we come off Sunday after the Colts game, and then on Monday, Twin Peaks in Greenwood on Monday, right there by the Greenwood Park Mall. I also should mention that just because you're not in our fantasy league, and yes, that is the fantasy league where I have the second-ranked team, as we did our draft on Monday, I have the second-ranked team, according to whatever nerdy eggheads put that together. But I also, and I thought I was really concentrating, but evidently I've selected 4 quarterbacks. 4 quarterbacks. I don't know how I'm second-ranked, but 4 quarterbacks. Now, if you're bummed because you're not a part of it, do not worry, because we still have the ultimate in sampling packages from Heaven Hill Distillery as we're doing our pigskin pick'em. Now, remember, you've got a little over 24 hours if you want to start when the season starts to get signed up. You can join our group, The Ride with JMV 2025. That is our pigskin pick'em. Heaven Hill Distillery products to the winner of our pigskin pick'em. You can sign up for that right now. Again, The Ride with JMV 2025. Very easy for you to find. And I would suggest that you do so. And be a part of it, too. You could win. JMV, watching the U.S. Open, I have no idea how those guys don't bust an Achilles every tournament. You're watching Djokovic last night, and he looked absolutely gassed at a couple of points. I'd agree. Incredibly athletic dudes. Probably why they stopped having tennis in Indy, because we're cursed. That's going to seem like that sometime, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. Yeah, I want to give a shout-out, too. I should probably send this out. I didn't have the opportunity. I know some didn't get in, and there are other leagues that you can join, but I did want to specifically give people the opportunity to be a part of ours as well. Good league. And to the winner goes the fruits, or in this case, the liquids of your labor. Got to get involved with that. JMV, I agree with the Daniel Jones theory here that things are going to be better for him than it was in 6 seasons with the Giants. I just think the roster here is a lot better. And while I would tend to agree with that, yet it's going to take a little bit of time to really believe it until you see it. JMV, I remember a year ago when everybody picked against the Colts seemingly, and what game? I don't remember what game that was. It was one, though, and we all did. Which one was it?
Was this last year or was this?
I thought it was Mo Alley Cox. Well, it wasn't week 1, clearly.
Yeah.
But Mo Alley Cox said haters or something. Was it before the game then, and then they lost? I can't remember.
Well, was it last season or was it the season before when the Colts beat the Ravens? Because I thought everybody picked against the Colts when they played the Ravens in week whatever it was, and
was
then
that
that was the Matt Gay game.
Okay. Huh. So you thought that was 2 years ago?
I thought so, but maybe I'm misremembering things.
So it's funny. This is how you start the season, and this is week to week. Our digital guy, Nick, puts up all of our picks. And if you pick against the Colts, then you're a hater. If you pick the Colts, then you're carrying their water or whatever knuckleheadery that goes with it. You're a cheerleader, pom-pom, whatever. Like, I can tell you this right now. My lean is going to be with the Colts. Simply put, I don't really want to think about if they lose to Miami, what it's going to be like in week 2. Now, it could be backwards. I mean, maybe they lose in week 1 and win in week 2. There is zero way you should be losing in week 1, and then you give yourself an opportunity. But if you lose to the Dolphins at home, can you imagine starting 0-2 and then on the road at Tennessee in week 3? They do have an opportunity. JMV, it's really bad. You said giggle, then spurtability, and I lost it. That's what happens here, man. We're kind of all on the same page with that in mind. The spurtability, that's what the Dolphins are. Like, the Dolphins don't concern me over a long period of time. But in a moment when all these dudes are healthy and that level of talent, I'd have to revert back to last season and look at what they did at the start of the season. I just remember them putting up numbers. Now it all goes away because normally their quarterback does go away. He's injured. But this would be, to me, the most difficult time. You didn't have to worry about that in October when you beat them 16-10, but you sure as hell have to worry about that in week number 1 when it looks like everybody's feeling pretty good. It is different, and that is going to be, to me, the biggest challenge. Now, the Colts have set themselves up for that challenge, considering how they have made this defense or remade this defense with Lou Anarumo, but a challenge it will be. Skilled, athletic, fast, and gifted. Long-term, not so much. But for that moment, yep. We'll see you on Sunday. Quick break, we'll come back. Aiden Fischer, IU linebacker, the All-American, joins us coming up after 5. More bullseye passes to give away. I got time for your calls before the top of the hour as well. The stream, the app, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. You can become a AAA member today. I think that sounds great. Make sure somebody has you back. All over the place with sports. You know, whether it's high school, collegiate sports, make sure somebody has your back on the open road. That's AAA. AAA.com to become a member today. That is the AAA Membership Lounge. Back with you next.
The Ride with JMV.
Son, you got a panty on your head. Just drive fast, eh?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I mean, there's been a lot of turnover over here, you know what I mean? So, like, a lot of new guys, they don't know stuff like that, you know what I mean? So, it's a game for all of us. We don't want to make it more than what it is. I mean, if that's the history of the season opener, so be it. But our job is to go out and win the game. So, it's not for the stat, it's not for the historical moment. We just want to get the job done.
That is a friend of the show, Kenny Moore, right there regarding the opening week losing streak. James over there, I'm John. Thank you for joining us. I did see this, and I know it's a level of nerdery in which I should not even suggest, but the AI game-by-game predictions actually has the Colts starting 3-0.
Is this Grok?
I think it's
ChatGPT.
What the hell is that? ChatGPT?
Yeah, that's one of the big AI software models now.
It is. It has the Colts, and of course that's how they play the games with that nerdery. But it has them starting out 3-0, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3, 6-4. Let me see ultimately what it has. 10-7. Some of the predicted losses, according to this dorkery, the Niners on the road at Seattle. It has them winning at Houston and here against Houston. Man, AI likes the Colts this season. I think AI likes the Colts more than we do. Has them starting unbeaten at home. Losing at Pittsburgh. Losing in Berlin. Losing at the toilet in Kansas City. Yeah, you probably want to go with that. JMV, every season, I'm not big on must-win games. Week 1. Last 5 seasons, this is a must-win game. Well, Josh, hold on a second. There is nobody bigger than me on must-win. I am Mr. Must-Win. So I don't think I've ever said, quote, I'm not big on must-win games. I am tremendously large, huge, enormous. Like old JMV, enormous on must-wins. I think I live my life on must-wins. Anybody agree? I am Mr. Must-Win. Thank you, Josh. JMV, I'd like to see a little bit more depth at running back, personally. Gator and Lagodi, Indiana. Shout out to Gator and Lagodi. Brad says, here is the Grok prediction. Considering the roster strength and historical performance under Shane Steichen, 8-9 or 9-8 according to Grok.
You said your initial ChatGPT was 10-7?
Yes.
I just asked it again. It gave them a record of 6-11. They start 0-2, get their first win in week 3. 1-4, 2-4, 2-5. Yeah, it's not great.
Somebody's out there saying that's more like it.
I might trust this one a little bit more than I trust the one that you started out with.
The 10-7, that's got them sweeping Houston. Then everybody comes back.
They might build a statue of Daniel Jones if that's how it goes.
If they go 10-7 and win the division, I mean, who knows? Shane Steichen's going to be in line for Coach of the Year. Chris Ballard, Executive of the Year. Can you imagine that?
Well, he'll get another 5-year deal if that's what happens.
He'll be here forever. Like my furniture. Grok says, according to Brad, 8-9 or 9-8. That to me is where it's at right there.
They're just using whatever the algorithm is that ESPN used to give you your draft grade for 4 quarterbacks.
Okay, that makes sense. Because, listen, nobody's looking at my squad and going, yeah, that's like the second ranked. This drunk picked 4 quarterbacks.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
4 quarterbacks. And I thought I was paying attention. I don't know what the hell happened. I was paying attention.
It seemed like, did you pass out on the couch a little bit?
Maybe I went to the bathroom or something and came back and my phone service. I'm at the point of my phone service now where evidently Apple, is it Apple or is there service carriers that start to really jack with your phone service so you want to get another one? Is that Apple that does that?
I think that's Apple. I can't remember what the name of it is.
Is that true or is that false? Because it does seem like when you get a certain age of your phone, they start jacking with it, and you go, I got to go to another one now.
They do design them, I think, to start to break after a couple of years to kind of incentivize you going and spending more money.
All right, let's just say, for example, Grok is right. 8-9 or 9-8. I think Kevin said 9-8. Does this make this Miami game how should I put it here? The swingiest of the swing games? Is this why I have prioritized this beyond anything else? Because that could be the difference between being under 500 and everybody gone. Kevin seems to think that they could get in a wild card at 9-8. I still suggest you probably need to win the AFC South because you look at all the other teams within the AFC, but could be wrong. I think it even prioritizes the Dolphins more so than what we have described. Andrew Catalan of CBS has the game on Sunday. He joins us coming up tomorrow. Road shows tomorrow and Friday, and then again on Monday. I shall explain. IU 1-0 on the season. Kennesaw State coming up this weekend. Their All-American linebacker, Aiden Fischer, set to join us coming up on the other side. Do not miss that. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
tailpipe. You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
It should be more natural, brother. It should flow out like this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm excited for his opportunity. Stay steady, find completions, keep us on track. You know what I mean? And at that position, that's what it is. It's finding completions, moving the football, not making bad plays worse. And I talk about the operation, feel very confident in his operation at the line of scrimmage, getting us in and out of the right plays. And I know the team feels confident in that as well.
Shane Steichen right there. We have a differing in opinions from the AI voices and some of the Colts fans out there. Aiden Fischer of IU, the linebacker, the All-American, joins us coming up in just a bit. Sit tight for that tomorrow, Heaven Hill Distillery. That is week number 1 of the NFL season. And night number 1 of the NFL season to boot. And we're going to be at Joe's Grill. We're going to be in Castleton, that location, coming up tomorrow. Me, Brett Halverson, Ryan Nally, Ryan Miller. I want to make sure you guys all get time off of work. Join us. Have a blast. A little sampling going on as usual. And I would love it if we could all play along and pick along, because Brent keeps track of us, but I would love to see us all keep track of one another here. I know we can do that in Pigsy and pick 'em, but I want you playing along. Of course, we start tomorrow night, Cowboys and Eagles from Philadelphia at 8:20. Friday, the Chiefs and the Chargers, and then the Sunday schedule prevails with that 1 o'clock start on CBS. Andrew Catalon, the play-by-play voice. Dolphins, Colts on Sunday, joins us coming up tomorrow as well. So Andrew Catalon tomorrow. Right, James? Should be fun. Yeah, Mike Chappell tomorrow, too. And then Bud Light Blue Friday, that finds us at Taylor's Pub in Nora. We've got Dolphins Colts tickets to give away coming up on Friday. Love to have you there. JMV, 317-239-1070. That's where you're going to find the text line. BTR here. Defense wins divisions. Defense stays healthy. Jones has a few moments. Taylor stays the badass we know him to be. And all the little things they do, they win. We shall see, BTR. Thank you. 239-1070 before we get to Aiden Fischer, who's calling us momentarily. Adam joins us now. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hey, John, how you doing?
Long time no talk, my brother. Everything going okay?
Yeah, everything is good. Like I said, we passed you guys when you were over there at the water area. We went top golf for the night, and that was fun. Got a couple things for you.
Yes.
I hope the mammals get smacked in the mouth this weekend, because I'll be there to see it. Also, I was going to ask you, because I know when I was there, I believe it was 3 years ago.
Yes.
At the Colts 5K. Are you going to be there this year to cheer on the fan or the runners? I should say.
That's on Saturday, right?
Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock till noon.
Oh man, 8 a.m. until noon. Probably not, because I have Saturday night JMV takeover, so I probably won't go downtown until a little bit later on in the afternoon. I doubt. So you're participating in that, I'm assuming.
Oh, of course.
Oh, my man. The runner. Adam is the runner. What is your season prediction for the Colts, Adam, while I have you here?
Honestly, it's so up in the air right now with everything, with the moving, with the people coming in, throughout the week or whatever. I don't know. I want to say 9-8. I'm stuck at 9-8.
I'm curious. Are you more apprehensive about fearing a guess because you just don't know, or because you fear the worst? Does that make sense? Because you don't know what to, or you fear the worst. You fear that if you believe they're going to go over 500, but deeply rooted, you don't think there's any way. Is there one or the other, and why maybe you're a little bit apprehensive?
I mean, I'm bleed blue completely. I've always been a Colts fan, but I don't know. Like the years previous have been a little shaky.
You're conditioned. Yeah, Adam, you're conditioned. It's like going through the Manning era. We were conditioned,
yeah.
Well, it's going to be, 11, 12, 13 games in the regular season one, and it was just ho, hum, yawn. That's what it's like. And now you're conditioned to feel, It's probably going to be pretty much of what we have witnessed in the past, and until further notice, that's probably how you're going to select. Thus, you're a little bit apprehensive about going over 500 in this case.
Correct.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
Adam, anything else?
No, not much. Just hope we smack the Mammals in the mouth. I mean, they're coming into, one of the best stadiums in the NFL, and we need to show it,
Got that right, Adam. We'll look for you this weekend, man. Thank you for the call.
Thank you, brother.
JMV, we need a T-shirt for Mr. Must Win instead of JMV Sucks. I believe that the shop is coming out with some new shirts of some kind either tomorrow or on Friday, one of the two. Got a note from Brian Kelly yesterday. The shop in Broad Ripple and Carmel. I was looking over some of my old JMV Sucks T-shirts. I do want some more of those. JMV, I'd be shocked if the Colts get over 4 wins. This is the year Steichen gets embarrassed and Ballard is gone by week 5. I don't know if that at all is going to happen. Like, I'd almost be more shocked at just 4 wins than I would, for example, if they were to win double digits, as some are predicting. Just middle of the road sounds still right. I know it's an easy pick. There's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing really original about it. But let's face it, there hasn't been too much originality out here in terms of wins, certainly in a long time. Get back to you guys coming up in a minute. Bullseye passes. Get ready for that. James, you want to do bullseye passes after Aiden joins us here? Bullseye passes Sunday. All you can eat, all you can drink. Bullseye Event Center. If you don't win, you can log on and get your passes right now. BullseyeEventGroup.com. And that whole party starts up, the pregame party, at 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, you know him well, going into year number 2 in Bloomington and yet another year with his head coach, Curt Cignetti, All-American linebacker, Fredericksburg, Virginia. This is where he went to high school and looking for another fantastic year for IU defensively. Linebacker Aiden Fischer joins us now. Hey, Aiden, thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
How's the world of football going in Bloomington after week number 1 for you?
Man, it's good. We're hungry. We had a lot of things that, we thought we could clean up and, get back into the details of things. Everything's good when you come off a win, so you can never take that for granted.
You know what's funny, too, and Aiden Fischer joins us, it's going to be a little bit sobering. You win, and you feel good about it, yet you probably watch it on film, and you go, oh, hell, look at all this work we have to do. Is that a bit sobering? I'm assuming it's probably after week number 1 every single time, is it not?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you leave the field, and everybody's happy with the win, but not in our case. We left the field, and, man, we left so much out there, and, we kind of felt that way right off the final whistle, and Coach Sig let us know about it, and, got straight into it on Monday's meetings, practice, walk through all the things, and, we're ready to go back out Saturday, prove that we can clean those things up quickly and get moving along.
Let us in, too, if you wouldn't mind, the conversation with your head coach about what he had to say about your performance. I mean, obviously, a lot of that is going to be private, but the parts you can share with us, what did he say about it, both good and bad, coming off that win on Saturday?
I mean, yeah, defensively, I think we did a good job outside of 2 plays during that game. I don't think they crossed the 50 outside of those 2 plays. But then again, that's not really what we were looking for as far as our pursuit angles, our aggression to the ball, all the little things that, the media won't really see or talk about as much. But it's the things that matter to us the most. And then, the good that we took out of it is we came out with a win. And, you can never take that granted, especially when you're playing at a high level like we are. But we got to be able to uphold that standard that we've set here, and that's the biggest thing coming off of that is just learning, improving, and growing off those mistakes that we made week 1.
He is the All-American linebacker from Fredericksburg, Virginia. He's Aiden Fischer of IU on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You bring up a hell of a point, and I'm curious. The stuff that we don't see, right, that you end up finding out through film and coaching staff, that you have done wrong. How often is that? Because I know that you guys get really focused in on that, but, we just see, like, the plays that are made that aren't. What do you see inside the game that maybe we don't, Aiden?
Yeah, I just think it's all things that amount to, ultimately what fans are going to stand up and cheer for and what the media will get to. And for us, that's, the smallest little details, your read steps, where your eyes at when the play starts versus when the play finishes. Everything that starts from, the beginning of the play to the end, and that's, the smallest little things. Even with a guy that really isn't even concerned with the football and he's on the other side of the field, we need him to be doing everything correct and, our way. In case, a guy does break a tackle or, he ultimately does get to the football, we need a little detail to be corrected, and it's kind of just a standard that we've set here and that will ultimately lead to our success.
It's Aiden Fischer IU, the All-American. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Noon the start, 11 a.m. on 93 WIBC, coming up on Saturday against Kennesaw State. I always wonder this because you've been such a great player on different levels here. When did the game collegiately of football slow down for you, Aiden?
I would say at the beginning of my sophomore or the middle of my sophomore year. After your freshman year, you're kind of getting thrown in a whirlwind. The game's moving fast. You're just trying to do your job and, do it correctly. And then going into my sophomore year with a lot of tape and, studying other teams and kind of what do they do schematically that, you can catch on to. And then after, I'd say about week 5 or week 6 at JMU, I was able to kind of catch on to some little things and the game really slowed down. And I was able to not only just know what I was supposed to do, but the entire defense, and that ultimately helped me, do my job even better.
So was it more film watching, or was it just athletically speaking? I'm sure you were fine athletically, but was it all about the maturation of what you do to prep and watching film that ultimately had this thing slow down for you to get to where you are now?
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of it is due to just the film study that I put in. And, you can't find reps anywhere outside of, the football field. So once you get those reps combined with that film and the prep that you put in, the game will just slow down for you. You can get a step ahead of other, things and teams when you're able to do that and combine the reps with the film.
You've accomplished so much so far in your football career collegiately. What goals did you have set for yourself going into this season in Bloomington?
I want to walk off the field with the Big Ten championship to start. I want to make another deep playoff run. I want to ultimately get to the national championship and win that one. And then for myself, all of my success will come off our team's success. So whatever follows with that, I think I'll be prepared for. But, the first thing first is, I just want to win a lot of football games and, get my hands on a couple trophies here at the end of the year.
Yeah, and it's funny, too. You look at – and I look back on this at your JMU career as well. You've raised the bar every single season going all the way back to high school, too. And what do you learn from one year to the other to do that? Because that to me is as impressive of a stat, which is really not a stat of your overall game, is just how every single season you raise it even higher as a football player defensively. What do you view as the most important aspect to that, Aiden, in your maturation?
Yeah, you always got to know that there's more room for growth, no matter what. So after each year, I'll go down, I'll write down things I did well, I'll write down things I did not do well. And, my focus really turns to things I didn't do well. That way I can turn any weakness that I've seen or that I put on tape, turn into a strength. And, I'm minimizing anything that a team could see and, be like, okay, we can attack here. I want to make sure it's not me that they're going to be attacking. And when they do, think that they have a step on me, I've already corrected it. I've improved and, I'm going to turn that into a strength, and ultimately that'll help this team win more football games. So just make sure that I'm staying on top of things, just making sure I'm getting better every day.
He is Aiden Fischer with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Are you a vocal leader, not just with the defense, but team-wide with IU?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's my most effective way of leading, and, I can bring some energy and kind of instill some confidence in this team, and I think, that's my biggest thing from carrying on from last year to this year is make sure I'm more vocal.
Are you more of a PG-13 vocal leader or an R-rated vocal leader on this team?
It kind of depends on the moment. It can range from, the PG, the family friendly, and then to an R-rated really quick in case things, need to get turned up a little bit.
Yeah. I think also the utilization of the R-rated can also be, focused but also fun-loving, right, too? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be just R-rated
for the serious part of it. You can be, hey, listen, we're doing this, but hey, yeah, it can also be for the fun of it as well. But I always find that interesting. Is that an aspect of your game overall on this team that Coach Signetti, he does, he trusts you with doing with the rest of the guys?
Oh, absolutely. I think just the relationship that me and him have had has grown so much to where he really does, instill a lot of trust in me. And, the way I use my words, I'm able to do it in a way that he feels is effective and that it gets the team going. So I think he does put me in that spotlight to, get the team going and, lead other guys. And, I'm very grateful for that.
Well, if he ever went away, which I doubt if he does, probably doesn't go away anyway, but if he ever did on vacation, would he put you in charge of watching his place? Would you be that guy on the team?
I would hope so. I'd hope he gets to that point. I'd hope so.
It's Aiden Fischer on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So where's the expectation for this team? It was such a great year last year. I mean, really, from start to finish. It didn't go how you wanted to, obviously, in South Bend, but still, it was a great season overall. What's your expectations to raise the bar in year number 2 in Bloomington?
Yeah, success for us is, championship trophies, and that starts with the Big Ten championship. And then we'll move on to the playoffs and, national championship. But it all starts with the Big Ten championship.
Who's your favorite linebacker all time to watch?
I grew up a Redskins fan, so Aiden Fischer was always one that, I watched every weekend and, really started to model my game after once I got to middle school and high school.
Yeah, he has been on this show before, too. He was an absolute tackling machine, and, hell, he played all over the NFL and he may have even played double-digit seasons if I – remember correctly.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Is that how you kind of picture yourself as, that tackling machine? And I'm not just saying, because they run in your general direction, but your pursuit all over the field, is that kind of how you vision yourself playing at the highest level at linebacker?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you can get to a ball carrier and, cause some damage, I want to be the first one to do it. So I think I definitely learned that from him and, watching his big hits and how effective he was on the field and, try to take that into my game and, branch off from it.
Did you play any other sports in high school?
I was a JV basketball player my first 2 years. And then once I realized that, I wasn't going to be 6'8" or 6'7", I realized, football is probably my best chance to, make it next level. So put my focus and all of my effort into football.
So were you I know you're 6'1". Were you could you dunk or could you just grab the rim as a JV basketball player?
Oh, I could dunk. We had a student versus faculty game. I was able to showcase that a little bit, and all the students were pretty excited about it. But yeah, I was definitely getting up there.
So I go down. This is a true story right here. I go down often to the Hyper before I do this show in Bloomington and play pickup hoop with a bunch of old dudes. Have you ever played basketball in the Hyper, or have you given up basketball since playing football there?
Yeah, I've given it up. I'm I don't want to risk anything. So if I need to go out there, I'll shoot some threes and miss a bunch of them. But I'm not really getting up and down the court no more.
Now I'm assuming you've been to the Hyper, right? The Hyper's legendary, Aiden. Legendary.
No, I've never been there.
The Hyper, well, I forget what it may be. I call it the Hyper, but I'm like ancient. What the hell is it called now? I forget what it's called now. It's not the, it's called something new. It's the Bill Garrett Center over there is what I'm talking about. It's where they got a bunch of basketball goals, and it's like where all the phys ed stuff takes place. You have zero idea what I'm talking about, so my bad. I'll move on. All the old guys. I'm from around Bloomington, so I spent a lot of time at the Hyper over there on campus, so I know exactly where that is. So I think all the old guys only know it still as the Hyper. Hey, the other thing we don't know in closing, Aiden, is Kennesaw State. I don't know how much tape you've watched on them or the expectation going in, but share a little info with everybody out there about the squad you guys are going to play on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean they're a good football team. They're physical. They like to run the football. When they pass it, they're effective. They went to Wake Forest and lost 9-10. Had some special teams things just not go their way, but they're a good football team.
Aiden Fischer, the All-American linebacker of IU on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. They get Kennesaw State at noon, again, 11 a.m. Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers, have you, 93 WIBC on the radio network. And Aiden's kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Aiden, have a spectacular week leading up to and a great season, and we'll do it again. Thanks for the time, man. Great conversation.
Thank you. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
You got Aiden Fischer on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. IU, Kennesaw State. He didn't know what the hell the hyper was. Does that make me too old? Does anybody know that it's the Bill Garrett Center or something now, right? For good reason, but I just know it as the hyper because he didn't have the damnedest clue what I was talking about. Now I know he's football and he doesn't spend a lot of time on the basketball court, as he mentioned. But is hyper a term for us old folks now? Just out of curiosity. Aiden Fischer, really enjoy the conversation. IU, thank you very much for getting back to us on that. Quick break, we'll come back. A lot more for you, including a lead up to week number 1, the Dolphins and the Colts on Sunday. Locations Thursday and Friday where you have to be. And on Friday, your opportunity at tickets to win. I'll tell you all about that coming up on the other side. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
about the goal. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Understanding where the ball needs to go versus certain looks, certain coverages. I think staying on schedule, keeping the, generating positive plays, keeping the offense moving forward, sustaining drives. I think all those things. Obviously, you want to be ready when the shot's there, and when you have the big play, take advantage of it. But understand when it's not, not holding the ball, getting it out, and letting guys catch and run when we have those chances too.
Daniel Jones a little bit earlier today. That's your Week 1 starter. Season starter, according to Shane Steichen, coming up on Sunday, week number 1 against the Dolphins. Coverage begins with me. 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. That's the ride to kickoff. Bullseye Event Center with bullseyeeventgroup.com. Give you a chance at some passes coming up in just a minute, too, so sit tight for that. JMV, I had to laugh. Asking about the hyper, nothing but crickets from Aiden Fischer. It's like asking him about a Rolodex, Andrew. So is the hyper my reference to the hyper that outdated? Anybody with some IU background, can you tell me my reference to the hyper's that ancient? JMV, I graduated in 2015, and I know the hyper. It's from Adam. It's out of curiosity. I know it's like the Bill Garrett something or other. But it's the hyper.
The Bill Garrett Fieldhouse?
Bill Garrett Fieldhouse. I don't know anybody, and now you see it and you understand, oh, cool, but I don't know anybody that calls it that. And I could not remember the SRSE. I never considered it. I mean, that was like, and I know it's really old now too, but not as old as the hyper. I never went there. Butch is at 239-1070. Butch, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Hello, JMV. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it, Butch.
I haven't called for a long time, ever since you blew me off with I said IU should sign Mike Woodson to a 10-year contract extension.
Yeah, what was I thinking, Butch?
Yeah, right. What was I thinking? But I've always loved your show. But anyway,
thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Still listen, but I don't call anymore. But I'm calling tonight because this Aiden Fischer, he's what a All-American stud this guy is.
He's a good dude.
We're lucky to have him. I disappointed with IU's football game against who they play?
Old Dominion.
Old Dominion, but I believe in Cignetti so much that it's almost like part of the plan with him, that we're not going to peak too soon. We're going to make these guys earn it, get rid of that last year hangover, and that game will do it for you. But anyway, not why I'm calling. I'm going to turn. I got an idea, and I could turn Anthony Richardson into. I started to say All Pro this year, but I'll say Pro Bowl this year.
Okay. What's your plan?
You got it. I'm not sure that Steichen or the general manager, they're smart enough to do anything other than screw things up. But here's what I do with Richardson. Starting tomorrow, if they brought me in to consult for a day, I'd have a plan.
Okay.
And the plan is as follows. I'd change his position to running back and utilize that option pass 6 times a game where he goes deep and let him run the ball. And I tell you, with him and our running back 28 Taylor, in that backfield, it would be like Eisenbarger and Harry Gonzo. Eisenbarger would throw a number of passes, a couple of passes each game when Pont was the coach. But I'm telling you, this kid, Richardson, with his skill, his body, his everything about him physically says, make me a running back and let Daniel Jones pitch it to him 4 times a game and have routes set up where, our Cincinnati, I forget his name, the draft choice, who's our deep
Alec
threat.
Pierce.
Alec Pierce. Have Pierce run some dazzling long route, and I'm telling you, the guy, Richardson, would throw 2 touchdowns a game. He'd have a quarter of an interception a game, and he would run for 800, 1,000 yards, coupled with Jonathan Taylor. So he becomes Pro Bowl material immediately if somebody over on 56th Street could think their way out of a box. That's my thought.
Butch, thank you for the call. I was, and that was not blowing Butch off right there. But I will say this, the Woodson 10-year plan may have been more feasible than that. I love Butch. That was one of the more entertaining calls I've taken in a long time. I do. I love Butch. That was outstanding work by Butch. Brad on line 3 joins this show. Hello, Brad. Do you have any ideas about Anthony Richardson, or do you have something else completely different you want to talk about?
Well, I was calling you about the Hyper building in Bloomington.
Please do.
That ship has sailed for me with Richardson. I have no idea what the hell they've been doing. But I wish them all the best. We'll see what happens.
Hey, I did want to ask you this regarding the Hyper. Is me asking Aiden Fischer about the Hyper and him not knowing what it is, would that be kind of like if somebody were to ask me when I was in high school, hey, meet me at the Wildermuth Center, and I wouldn't know what that is? Is that like the same thing?
Well, I don't know what the hell, I don't know what Fisher's been doing with himself. I mean, if you're on campus and you're one of the BMOCs on the football team, how could you not, know where the Hyper building is?
I'm just thinking my time had passed right there. Maybe the Hyper building is no longer the Hyper building of what we know it to be.
Well, just a real quick background.
Yes.
My father used to broadcast IU basketball on television before Chuck Marlowe. This is in the 50s. My father was the first sports director at Channel 4 when they went on the air in 1950.
Well done. That's awesome.
And he did IU basketball on television and did IU football on radio. Well, I'll tell you the quick story. It was called the IU Fieldhouse at that time. And, of course, before that Fieldhouse, there was the other Fieldhouse that sits on the south end of what was the Wildermuth Center.
Yes.
So it went from the IU Fieldhouse to the Wildermuth Center, and now it is the Bill Garrett gym.
See, I never did say, hey, meet me. I want to play on court 1 at the Wildermuth. I never said that.
No.
Yeah.
It didn't become I was there in the 70s, and 76, my senior year, and, we'd go down there and play, but it didn't have all the courts there at that time. It was just a dirt floor more than anything else. But I will tell you, if you go in there, and the reason I'm touting this a little bit, there's a plaque on the wall on the southeast corner of the Bill Garrett building that commemorates my father and Bob Cook and Bob Petronoff. He was the production manager at Channel 4 at that time. They did the very, very first college basketball broadcast on television in 1950.
I've seen that too. Yeah, I've seen that before too. It's like the whole when you walk in, the Dick Enberg room is right there, or whatever that is too.
Interesting, real quick story.
Yep.
My dad taught some classes down there, and he happened to have 2 students in his class.
Oh, wow, that's great.
One of them was a guy by the name of Max Skirvin, and then Dad had a graduate student who eventually took my dad's place doing IU radio football, a guy named Dick Enberg.
That's awesome.
He came from Central Michigan, started doing his graduate work at IU. My dad started doing football and basketball, went to Herman Wells. Herman Wells met Dick Enberg, and then the rest is history. Dick Enberg went on to make piles of money. My dad went on to make some money.
Man, that is such a great story. Thank you very much for sharing that. That's outstanding.
All right. All the best.
That's
Take
great,
care.
man. Those are back-to-back awesome calls. We got to have more of that. Butch, This is from Elvis. Butch was one of the most interesting calls I've ever heard. At least Butch has a plan. Chris Bowd and Shane Steichen don't seem to. What did he say? They couldn't do what out of their way out of a box? Can you play that? Isolate that part. Do you have that on?
I'd
somewhere?
have to find it. I think he said they couldn't think their way out of a box.
Butch. Jeremiah Johnson just texted me and said, Butch. Everybody loves Butch. He did. And I think I did blow him off when he wanted to give Mike Woodson a 10-year contract. Butch, I don't know about that one. That would have been the wrong decision. Jeff writes this, my kid is a senior there, and he and his buddies hoop multiple times a week. Jeff, I may play him one of these days because I'm going to start going back down there. Oh, wow. JMV, have you read this? Morrissey says he's selling the Smiths to any interested. I can buy the Smiths? Oh, hell. How much would you pay for the group, the Smiths? We'll figure that out, Jason, coming up on the other side. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Henderson. I think I'll buy the Smiths. Let me get my savings out. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino at Anderson. You guys ready? Let's see who's going to win the Harris Hoosier Park race of the day.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day. 50 in betting, 50 in dining, courtesy of Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Sean's the winner. The horse, Twin Cedar Sheila. Oh, Sheila. See, could have came back in with, oh, Sheila. Ready for the world. $5.20 on a $2 bet. $2 exact to $1.45. 50 cent try. 96.25. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. And he just goes by Sean. Your winner of the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day. Racing going on now through November. Shout out to Tony Renz of the gang. That's Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. We'll do it again coming up tomorrow. The Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day. You pick a horse, as we'll send it out before the start of the show, and then find out whether or not you win the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day tomorrow. JMV, have you noticed all the power rankings have the Colts somewhere between 20 and 24 to start the season? Would you agree with that? I've said this before, until further notice, you have to agree with it. Now, where would Miami be lurking? In a similar vicinity. Now, with Denver, the Week 2 matchup at Lucas Oil Stadium, they might be top 10 with some thoughts and maybe much further down with others. It seems like you really buy how they're going to take off in year 2 of Sean Payton, or you think maybe the hype is a little bit inaccurate here. But the general area of the Colts in the power rankings to start the season, not that it matters, but for the sake of the conversation, between 20 and 24. With the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Bears, the Panthers, the Saints, the Patriots, the Jaguars. The power rankings. We shall see. 239-1070. It's going to be tough. We had 2 really good calls right here. It's tough to follow Butch. We'll see if Fulton's ready. Hey, Fulton, don't let us down. You got to come up with something really
John,
good here,
how
buddy.
are you?
Come up with something
good.
good.
To hear from you again.
Butch set the pace for you, Fulton. What do you got?
Well, I got some big news for you, too.
Big news. Big news from Fulton.
So, I am going to be in the Singing in the Rain, and I'm going to play the role as the policeman in that musical.
You're playing a cop, Fulton, are you?
Yes, I am.
How many lines do you have? Do you have to sing?
I just have 2 lines.
Do you know them by heart right now? Have you memorized them?
I'm still memorizing still. We still got to rehearsal this next Sunday.
What do you got going on in the background there, buddy?
It's my dog.
I gotcha. I understand. So, yeah, you got a couple of lines and sing. Now, where are people going to come up and watch you perform those 2 lines and singing in the ring?
It is going to be at White River Christian Church in Noblesville on November 20th to the 22nd.
Wow. That's excellent. That is big news. You're right.
And, John, you're welcome to come to my softball game this Saturday. It's our state competition.
Where is the state competition being held? Is that Craig Park in Greenwood again?
It's actually at Lassie, I forget what it's called.
Where?
It's I forget. I'm trying to think what it's called. It's called Center Grove Lassie.
Oh, you're at the Center Grove Lassie League fields over there. I know exactly where that is. Exactly.
So game starts at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we play our second game at 12.
Well, Saturday, just swing by. That's off of Morgantown. Down in the Greenwood area right there, you will find the Center Grove Lassie League fields. And Fulton playing a little softball. That's well done. Singing in the rain.
Yep.
Softball. I mean, Butch was pretty tough following right there, but you did a good job, buddy.
Yep, sounds great, John. Hopefully I'll see you at the game this Saturday.
All right, we'll look for you, Fulton. Thank you.
Sounds good. You're welcome.
That is Fulton right there. A little softball and singing in the rain. Yeah, Jason asked again, how much would you pay? And I don't even know what the hell Morrissey is doing. Man, he had a great show last November here, and part of the greatness was the fact he actually played and showed up. That was nice. One of the most common surnames in the English-speaking world can now be exclusively yours. Morrissey is selling the rights to the Smiths' name, likeness, and intellectual property to any interested party or investor. The band's former frontman announced that on his blog today. Quote, Morrissey has no choice but to offer for sale all the business interest in the Smiths to any interested party, investor, reads the announcement. Hey, give me some how soon is now right here. If you don't know who the Smiths might be, and I get that because, I mean, some of you apparently don't know what the hell the hyper is, like Aiden Fischer. But if you don't know what the hyper is, you may not know who the Smiths are. This is their signature 1984 classic, How Soon Is Now. You guys recognize this now? Just a great song. 80s classic. Morrissey, Johnny Marr, and the Smiths, and they're apparently selling the name. Here it is. God, this is a good song, though, James. You ever heard of it?
I've definitely heard it before.
And then with anything with Morrissey, there's about a scroll of other stuff to add. But he's selling the name The Smiths. Smith's a good band, by the way, too. That's just one of their hits, but certainly classic. Jason, I don't know how much I would pay for it. I'm assuming just by him putting it for sale like that is probably going to be relatively expensive, right? John writes this before we go. Did a little deep dive on the Colts roster the other night. I was surprised at how old this team is. That's why, I mentioned this, John. If this doesn't work this year, it's not just going to be a wiping of the coaching staff and execs. We're talking about a lot of the players that you know and you love right now, too, that need to go someplace else for a rebuild because it's not happening here. Shout out to you, John. Hey, tomorrow, who is with me? Heaven Hill Distillery, Brent Halverson, Ryan Nally, Ryan Miller, Joe's Grill, Castleton, our Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, week number 1. Man, you all join us. Also get signed up. You get a little restock action or a sampler package. Our Pigskin Pick'em, you can find it. Just look on my X account. You'll find it easily there. James, great job out of you. Aiden Fischer, Kevin Bowen, podcast 1075thefan.com. We'll see you at Joe's in Castleton tomorrow. Can't wait.